welcome to the first ever Diamond Niner Fans podcast. I'm Nick. I'm here with Kevin.
How's it going?
You might be asking yourself two questions. One, who are these guys? And two, why are they doing this? The answer's simple. We're 49er alums and baseball fans. As for why are we doing this, Kevin, why are we doing this?
I don't know. You said you had donuts over here, so...
That's true. We do have donuts and coffee.
Who doesn't like talking baseball?
What else is there to do on a Saturday morning? So here's what we're going to do, guys. We're just Charlotte 49er baseball fans, and we sit around talking baseball, getting ready for the season, and we just finally decided to record this. If you're listening, thanks. If you're not listening, what's wrong with you? All right. Here's what we're going to do today. We want to get into the 2018 season, kind of set the table for you, what we're looking at. But first, we kind of feel like we need to go back and talk a little bit about last season. The Niners finished 34-24, 18-12 in Conference USA. Unfortunately, came up one win shy of the conference tournament finals in Biloxi last May. But still, Kevin, there were some big moments last season. Why don't you walk us through what you see as some kind of the biggest moments of the 2017 season?
Yeah, we can walk through the schedule here from last year. Started out big conference, big opening series, hosting WVU from.
From the Big 12, you mean?
Big 12. We got a Big 12.
Yeah, from the Big 12. What are they doing in the Big 12? I don't know what they're doing in the Big 12.
But, yeah, opening series, we got a Big 12 team to come to the Hayes. Had great crowds. Took 2 out of 3. West Virginia ended up making the NCAA regional last year.
They brought a few fans, too.
Yeah, they got a little bit rowdy with us in the parking lot, but they were good people.
They were almost as rowdy as we were.
But we got the series win, so that's all that matters, right?
That's right.
They ended up they took Wake Forest to the final game in their regional, another opponent we played last year, and Wake Forest ended up advancing to the Supers over West Virginia. We had some early out-of-conference games. We got a big win at NC State. I think they were top 10 at the time. Went to South Carolina down in Columbia, played them close, lost by 1 run. I think that was our first road game.
Don't you think that first, we played State up there first, right?
Yes.
In Raleigh. Don't you think that was the first kind of indication that this season was going to be a lot of fun? I mean, the West Virginia series was cool, but we were on the road in Raleigh, and it seems like we rolled out. I remember we kept rolling out lefties. They couldn't hit lefties, right? That's the game I'm thinking about, and it was. We were watching online, right? When that game on, it was on ESPN3.
Yeah, the ACC. ESPN3 network.
Yeah, and we were freaking out because it was like all of a sudden, wow, we really got something here. It was.
Yeah, I think the combo between that West Virginia series, I know we got some national pub after that series win, and then we had a good game at South Carolina, and then we kind of beat NC State, and I think they were ranked top 10 at the time.
Yeah, that got their attention too. Yeah,
we started seeing a little publicity nationally and a little more locally for that season starting.
Right.
We took another big series win over Xavier. They were coming off a Big East. I think they won the Big East the year before. Took 2 out of 3 from them at the Hayes.
An old A-10 matchup,
yeah,
right?
Old A-10 throwback. Went on the road to ECU. Start out the series, Colton Laws. I mean, I think this was during his 27-inning no earned run streak. Pitched to Jim out there, and we beat him for game 1. Game 2, I think went extra innings. They took it from us in game 2, and then had another pitcher's duel in game 3. Lost 3-0. Very close series, and they were ranked number 8 at the time.
I think my favorite part of that whole weekend was just how upset the ECU folks, the ECU faithful got. I mean, they did not see us coming on that. Right. And Colton Laws, I mean, he had been on their squad, right?
Right.
So they had Colton Laws. He had transferred from East Carolina to Charlotte, and he come back, and he just, I mean, he dominated them.
Yeah,
they did not see that coming.
Yeah, he was very fun to watch. Not only that series, but all season long, he had a
for sure,
outstanding season
for sure.
And ECU, we had Jackson Mims as well, and Bill Perry. They both came from the ECU.
Quite a few former Pirates on the roster.
Yeah, so that first Friday night was a pretty special victory, and I think it was an evenly played series. I mean, you have a 2-0 game, I think, and then an extra inning game, and then a 3-0 game. I think that was pretty even. They didn't have the season they wanted, but they got better as their season. They almost won the AAC tournament to go to the a regional.
Yeah, we were right there. I mean, that's a series. That's one of those ones that at the end of the season, you're kind of looking back, going, "Oh man, we were right there. We could have had that one."
I was definitely feeling good about the program still at that point. Yes, definitely. Then we get into our conference season. We went to FIU, had a big series win there, won two out of three.
Mm-hmm.
La Tech at home, we took care of them. I think 2 out of 3, right?
Yeah, that Louisiana Tech series, that was a big one because they were pretty loaded. They had a really senior heavy class, right? I mean, they had this was the new coach came in. He went on to coach. Where did he go? He was there.
Went to Alabama, right?
Yeah, I think Alabama. His name escapes me right now, but he recruited a ton of junior college guys that were awesome, and he was gone, but we were facing his whole senior class. That was a big series.
Yeah, they like to crowd the plate too.
I swear I think they were actually standing on the plate at times, but
But yeah, that was a good series win. Still rolling in conference. We went out of conference. We had 2 Uptown games during that period. Big crowd versus NC State.
Mm-hmm.
Uptown. NC State got a little ahead of us, and we fought back late. Ended up falling to them. Wake Forest game got rained out and had to get moved to campus. But a lot of excitement uptown with those games, and I'm glad we can continue to do that. Lauren had a great relationship with the Knights, and I'm glad we're able to continue that because we started it with NC State back a couple years ago.
Right.
It really, those uptown games really bring a lot of publicity to our school and our program, and it brings a lot of folks that wouldn't normally go to the Hayes. They definitely would walk uptown and see that new beautiful ballpark uptown.
My favorite part about that is NC State came in and they were very revenge minded, except of course for the majority of their fans who had no clue that we had already played earlier in the season, much less that we beat them in Raleigh. We tried to educate a few folks that night, but we're the ACC and we beat you. We're of course we beat you guys. The series is just even now, right? Kind of thing. But yeah, we're going to talk the schedule later, and we've definitely got some cool uptown games coming up. What else you got in conference you want to talk about?
Yeah, so still in conference play. We went to ODU. I think that was our first series loss. Another the last 2 games of the series, we lost 2-0 and 3-0 pitchers duels. Good baseball, but just couldn't get on the right end of those. FAU, we hosted FAU, and that was a tough series. We had a big lead in the first game.
Right.
Colton Laws pitched a good game, and they ended up coming back and beating us at home on Friday night. Kind of tough to recover from that, but then we came back in Game 3 on that Sunday, I believe, and that was a memorable game because I think we scored 10 runs before they recorded an out.
That is that game, isn't it, Kevin? That's the crazy. I have never seen that happen. We batted around. We had batted around before they recorded an out.
Not only that, but the first 10 guys that went to the plate scored.
Yeah, they not only got on base, they scored. Maybe we'll do that again sometime. I could watch that anytime.
Yeah.
Pretty much anytime. Guys, if you're listening, anytime you all want to do that, I will watch.
Yeah, that was a good way to end that series, even though we started with it on a sour note. But we had then we went to Western Kentucky, had a big sweep.
As I recall, their athletic director was not necessarily very happy about that.
Yeah, I think there was a controversial play that happened, but All I know is I remember Zach Flanagan pitched more than 9 innings without allowing an earned run, and that I think it was the clincher for that sweep, and that was a hell of a game. I've wanted another great pitching outing that we got last year.
Yeah, Flanagan, that day in particular, that was just that was a special performance.
Yeah, moving on in the schedule, we swept Middle Tennessee State. I think we had some rain during that series, so we had to play a doubleheader. I think it was a doubleheader during the spring game, football game, but we had a great sweep over them and the doubleheader on that Saturday. Unfortunately, that's the game Flanagan got hurt, and we lost him for the season. Kind of started our depth issues in the bullpen and with our pitching at around that point, trying to struggle to find our depth. Losing a guy like that was tough.
Oh, and he was at the top of his game too.
Yeah, like the week before, he just threw.
Oh yeah,
But
I think we've still got him around the program, right? He's sort of a volunteer coach this season.
So I think he's a student coach, and he's glad he's sticking with the program. After that, went to UAB, took 2 out of 3. I think Matt Brooks got his first Conference USA start in that series.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and wasn't that the series where the last game was kind of started raining during the last couple innings, and they ended up calling it?
Oh, you might be right. I hadn't thought about that till you mentioned it. There's a lot of these things that I remember, but I hadn't thought about them since then. And when you bring them back up, I go, oh, yeah, that's right. That did happen.
Yeah.
You might be right about that, Kevin.
That was a big series win. Continue on. We came back home to face Rice. They had struggled the beginning of the year. They had, like us, they play a really tough out-of-conference schedule, and they kind of struggled. I think they were throwing some young guys into the fire, and they had started bouncing back and getting things together by the time they came to Charlotte. And then that Friday night, Colton Laws, he had an injury, so I think he only pitched 1 or 2 innings, came out, and I don't think we recovered from that, and they swept us at home.
Doesn't Rice do that to Conference USA every year, though? I mean, they schedule ridiculous. They go out and they play. I mean, they play one of the toughest schedules in the country. At one point, I don't remember what they were. They were below 500 though, as I recall. Yeah. I mean, they were just getting beat left and right by all these guys. And then when conference play rolls around, all of a sudden Wayne Graham kind of gets them pointed in the right direction, and they come on like nobody's business. And at the end of the season, who are we looking at?
Yeah.
Rice.
Yeah, they were 1 game behind. I think they started out conference pretty rough, but then they bounced back, and
I don't remember what seed they got, but they
I think they were 1 game behind us. I think they were maybe a 5 or 6 seed, but it was so tight in that little stretch that 1 game behind us meant it was like there was 1 game separating like 3 to 7.
And there was a stretch of time last year that the question was, is Rice going to make the conference tournament? I mean, they were struggling that bad.
Yeah.
And then of course we know what ends up happening, but yeah, you've got to, they're sort of like the Patriots in that respect. You cannot give them life, right? If you're going to get Rice, you've got to put them down. You got to put them down hard.
Yeah.
And rarely does anybody figure out how to do that.
Yeah, and they're definitely one of the better programs in our conference, and they've carried the flag for a number of years.
For a long time.
After that Rice series, we hosted Texas San Antonio. We lost 2 out of 3. I think that's when we started. That's when Patton got his first start in conference.
Yeah, we were kind of searching for answers there. We were running out of arms.
I think, he had been in the back end of a bullpen type guy most of the season, and when Flanagan went down and we saw Laws got injured, we needed some weekend starters, and we saw Patton step in there. I think that was his first start. Then going into that last weekend of conference, we could have. There was the race was so tight, we could have finished anywhere from 2nd in the conference to 8th and out of the tournament based on tiebreakers and everything. We ended up taking care of business, getting a big sweep.
That was a big weekend of baseball right there. I mean, it's not so much as the opponent, but just what was on the line. I mean, everything was on the line.
Yeah, I think we definitely took care of business when we needed to, and that was a sign of a great team. Is when your back's against the wall, what you're going to do? You're going to come out and sweep your opponent.
Yeah, I think we ended up we were in a tie for third.
I think we tied for third, and FAU got us on that tiebreaker since they took 2 out of 3, I believe.
Yeah, and we ended up with the 4 seed.
Yeah. So great regular season. We had a momentum going into the tournament, Conference USA tournament down in Biloxi. Game 1, we went to Matt Brooks came in, and he got the big Game 1 victory for us. He was up against the Conference USA Pitcher of the Year, I believe, Nate Harris for Louisiana Tech, and he definitely outpitched the Conference Pitcher of the Year in that game.
Yes, he did.
And so got out of that first game, and then second game 2, Texas San Antonio, who had just beaten us 2 out of 3 a couple weeks before. Colton Laws, I mean, another gem from him. He just sets the Conference USA tournament record with 14 Ks in that game.
That was beautiful.
That was beautiful. We had great pitching that tournament. We really had great pitching. Had some big hits. Game 3, we needed one game to get to the conference. We were one game away from the conference championship game, and
now you're getting to the part I don't want to talk about, Kevin.
Well, it was a good game. We had Patton had a good strong start. We just couldn't get enough runs to hold them off. I mean, they're a great team. They finished ranked in the top 25 at the end of the year, Southern Miss, and
yeah. If you're gonna win Conference USA, and we want to, right? If you're gonna win Conference USA, you're gonna have to deal with Rice, and you're gonna have to deal with Southern Miss. That's just all there is to it. And we were in line to have to deal with both of them right in a row. 2 games against Southern Miss, and then to get to Rice.
Right.
I know the guys were devastated. I was devastated to be so close. We were 1 out away. It got pretty. I mean, it was intense there, and we were right there. And sometimes things just don't.
Yeah. Sometimes
things just don't go your way. Still, I got to tell you, and this is not commentary on the team. This says more about me that does the team. Going into that second game against USM, I was like, man, what's our mental state going to be like? We were there, and then are we keeping a positive outlook going into the second game? And I got to give the coaching staff credit on that, because the guys came back, and that second game against Southern Miss, they fought, man.
Yeah,
I mean it was a dog fight.
They had that night atmosphere down there with their home crowd, and we definitely fought back in that game, and then they had a little lead on us, and we battled back, and then ended up falling 8-10. But
all the USM fans came down for the evening, and that play. I don't know how many does that park hold. Yeah,
it's got to be 10,000.
Yeah, I mean it was crazy, full of yellow and gold, and yellow and black. About that. And our guys, I mean, they really put up a fight. But I mean, in the end, though, what you're talking about is the season ends. We end up
57 RPI 57. We had, I think we were right on that bubble of being in the tournament.
I think so too. I mean, we had it's not like RPI just a number, but it's not like there was nothing on our resume. I mean, we had quality wins on the resume.
Yeah, we had the West Virginia series win. We had wins over NC State, over ECU. Conference wins, big conference series wins. We had a great pretty much finished third in the 5th or 6th best conference in the country. We had a great resume, and I think that goes to show. I mean, the coaching staff, they have a great schedule every year. Puts us in a position to, if we're successful, to be in that conversation for NCAA bid and going to a regional. So
well, let's just be honest here. I mean, let's just put it on the table here. I think what we're talking about realistically is there are a couple of key moments in the season that if you flip them, if they go the other way, then we're probably talking about a tournament team last year. If you get the ECU series, if you flip one of those two losses, that helps. The FAU series would, getting more out of that would have helped. And then, and unfortunately, this is our depth issue on the mound. The weekday performances. If we dropped 2 during the week to North Carolina A&T last season, and really it was just a matter of by that point in the season, Coach Doty was having to conserve arms. And what we were doing on the weekday was not as up to par as what we were doing on the weekend. And if you flip those A&T games and maybe flip the ECU series, then I don't know what that does RPI-wise. I'm not that smart, but I think that puts us pretty close. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, we're right there. We're right there, and that's our highest RPI we've had in several years. Definitely highest RPI in our Conference USA days, but a lot of our teams in our conference only got two bids, which was
I thought that
very
was
disappointing. Rice ended up winning the conference tournament, and they got the automatic bid, and then Southern Miss, I think they broke a conference record with wins last year. They were the only two teams to represent our conference, which is
somebody else might disagree with me on this, but I kind of felt like what the committee said there was that if Rice had not won our conference tournament, I mean then we're a one bid league. Yeah. I mean, isn't that kind of what they were saying?
Well,
and that's garbage.
I don't know if they would have. I think they would have had 2 bids, but yeah, that's pretty much what they say. I mean, look at Old Dominion, had a 50 RPI 51, Louisiana Tech 47.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the same thing we deal with. This is just like the basketball discussion. It's do a quality team from Conference USA versus a 500 a SEC team that finished 500 in the league. Same old conversation, and we know how that's going to end. Why don't we do this? Why don't we move on from last season? It was fun, kind of reliving that. Actually got me really excited about going forward here. Obviously, this was our best season since returning to Conference USA, right? We come back to Conference USA for the 2014 season. We have watched the talent level on this roster and the recruits that Conference USA helps us bring in, that affiliation. The talent level has continued to go up. That's a double-edged sword, right? The good news is we have better players. The bad news is we might lose some guys in the Major League Draft. Obviously, we did that last year, along with we lost a really special group of seniors. We'll talk about these guys, but these were the first guys to buy in, right? The first guys to buy in to us moving to Conference USA. Why don't you walk us through what we lost off the roster, and we'll later we're going to talk about some of those holes we need to plug, but we really lost some quality guys.
Yeah, like you said, the senior class from last year, and they started Conference USA with us, and Gagan and Daddio, they were the last remaining A10 players we had.
Right.
So yeah, they're definitely a special group of seniors. They kind of got thrown into the Conference USA fire. We went from A10 conference into a Conference USA, which is a top 6, top 5 nationally.
That's being thrown in at the deep end.
Yeah, and we had a lot of seniors off of that last A10 team, and people that got drafted off of that A10 team, the last A10 team who won the regular season, and we were in the A10 championship game. So lots of seniors lost, so brought in that recruiting class, and they kind of
quality guys
thrown into the fire, and most of them were starting for 4 years. In our program, we got. Start with Zach Jarrett. Zach Jarrett, he started off as a third baseman, but he ended up playing left field for us last year. I personally think he got snubbed in all conference. He improved tremendously every single year he was here, And his last season, I think he was his best. Obviously, thought he deserved a Conference USA All-Conference pick, but ended up getting drafted by the Orioles. He was
28th round.
28th round, and ended up playing with TJ. TJ was also in that same class, came in second baseman. Ended up moving out to right field. He can pretty much do it all out there, infield, outfield. Switch hitter. Had a great 4 years. And he ended up on the All-Conference Conference USA. I think it was first team. Yeah, first team, and was pretty close to winning the Conference USA batting title.
Went down the last weekend.
Yeah, he was up there all year, top 1 or 2 all year. Just a do-it-all type player. Definitely creating chaos on the base pass, doing what it took to get those runs in, making the plays in the outfield. I mean, you saw that in his minor league highlight. We won minor league
absolutely
play of the year.
Let me just say something about Jarrett here before we move on. But besides his production, which he was such a solid player for us, the other thing I'm going to miss about Jarrett is, besides the obvious stuff, as I said, is listening to the opposing broadcast when we go on the road. And, you need to get, you tune into their TV feed, like Conference USA TV, right? And so you get the road broadcaster automatically with the feed. And listening to their people every weekend, tell the audience that, Zach Jarrett is from a NASCAR Hall of Fame family, like it was new information every week. It's a pet peeve, right? But I'm going to miss that. Obviously, we're going to miss his bat and his defense out there. You bring up TJ, which TJ is. I mean, can we just go ahead and throw this? We kind of started the TJ doing TJ things, right? That's we. I think that started as a Twitter hashtag in the stands just one day, and it honestly, we've seen it, we've used it, but TJ doing TJ things, we even took it to the minors with him. Was TJ is a gamer, right?
Yeah, he's gonna bunt with bases loaded and get that winning run home. That's what he does.
Well, I mean, we had. He's playing for Aberdeen, right? For the Ironbirds, and he's on third, and he steals home. And I don't know. It's not like we got to ask him. I don't know what instructions he was under over there at third, but he steals home, and their broadcast crew goes crazy about TJ stealing home, and we're just like, we've seen this before, dude. It's TJ doing TJ things, right? It's with him, he's the guy that's just going to go out there and grind for you and gritty and going to do stuff.
He's going to win games.
He's going to win games. You don't ever know how he's going to do that, what he might do in order to win that game. Flying into the stands to catch a foul ball and landing in the seat, stealing home.
Throwing his body or his bat into the stands.
He throws his body and his bat around equally. And it was funny. I heard one of the Ironbirds broadcasters. They talked to TJ about the bat flipping thing, and we saw him let go of a bat or two here, right, during his 4 years, and he told him, he said, I'm not, hey, look, I keep a loose grip and I swing hard. That's TJ, right?
Yeah, it's definitely you got to watch out in the stands. I'm glad they're putting those nets up down the baselines.
It's probably a good idea. So who else we got?
Another one that not a senior, but Colton Laws came in last year, got drafted. This is his second year. He was draft eligible, and even being a sophomore, redshirt sophomore. Great season on the mound. Like I said, he had that 27-inning stretch where he didn't allow an earned run. Just a constant Friday night starter that we could count on. We were going to get that W, whether it be 1-0 or whatever. We were counting on him to get it done on Fridays, and he did. About every Friday we had him. And then going into the Conference USA tournament, that was the cherry on top for him. He the Conference USA tournament record for 14 Ks in a game. That was just a gem, and it was great to watch. We enjoyed watching him this season. He went on drafted by the Blue Jays.
Seventh round.
7th round draft pick by the Blue Jays. Pitched a lot of innings for us, so I think they took it easy with him.
Yeah.
Started off in Bluefield, pitched a few innings here and there, but they still couldn't hit him in the, I think it's the Appalachian League.
Yeah, rookie league, Appalachian.
And went on. They called him up to Vancouver for a couple spot starts. Got to win a championship there in Vancouver. They won the Northwest League.
Yeah, which by the way, that so proud with Colton being drafted by the Blue Jays, but him being in Vancouver really wreaks havoc with our trying to keep up with what he's doing, right? Because they're playing, with here on the East Coast, 10 p.m. first pitch times, makes for some late nights during the summer when you're trying to keep up with a Colton Law start.
Those are the ones you just check the box score in the morning.
And sometimes, yes, sometimes. But here's the thing I want to say about Colton, and this kind of gets into where, when we're talking about looking towards this season, go back a year ago to the day from right now, right? Were we talking about Colton Laws being dominant coming up this year? I wasn't.
He had shown some glimpses in his previous year. He was thrown into the starting rotation, the weekend rotation a little bit. He had shown some glimpses, but you heard Coach Hibbs. He said Colton said he wanted to be great, and he worked at it. And
boy was he!
Yeah, he definitely had a great season. One to remember for Niner fans.
Yeah, he came. Did we think Colton was going to be an important piece for us last year? Yes. Was anybody thinking, oh yeah, he's going to be our Friday night starter and basically unhittable for a large portion of the season? That did not see that coming, and he probably saw it coming.
Yeah, well, he worked for it, and
yes, he did.
He saw it coming for sure. Great season for Colton. Another, not a senior either. He was a junior. But he was kind of thrown into the fire also when he was as a freshman. Brett Netzer, all conference first team. Started out in the left field, then he jumped into second base. Past 2 seasons, drafted Red Sox. What round was it?
Third round.
Third round. Yep, big money pick. He's started out with the Lowell Spinners. Up there in the league with TJ.
Yeah, New York Penn.
And Zach. Ended up having a pretty good time there. Good season, good stat, good numbers. Bumped him up to the Sally League here, and with the Greenville Drive.
Yeah, got to see him come through Kannapolis a couple times.
Yeah. Good. Appreciate Brett spending some time with us, but it was always great seeing Niners come through the Charlotte area and. #Pro Niners.
There you go.
But he had a great season last year. I remember watching that NC State game. The guy that was calling the game was a Baseball America guy, and he was talking about how he's a top 5 round guy.
Oh yeah,
great swing. But that was kind of the point where I was like, well, we're probably not going to have Netzer next year.
Yeah. Here's the thing, and I always remember about Netzer. He was one of those guys, like you said, we threw him into the deep end, right? And just first year Conference USA, you're right out of high school and you're going in the lineup, right? That's a tall order. But just his, I don't know. We've seen lots of guys come through here, but it's a short list of guys that took a loss as personal as he did. This guy, you probably didn't want to talk to him after a loss. He's his drive and his inner drive to win. Not to say that anybody else is not competitive, obviously, but this guy,
But you could see it.
It's all over him. Guys show their feelings different ways, but you look at Brett Netzer after a loss, and you didn't even need to see the box score to know whether we won or lost. Just look at Netzer, right? He was wearing it on his sleeve. Yeah. heck of a competitor. The only problem I see with Netzer is I think he's probably done coming through Kannapolis in the Sally League. We'll see what comes up this year, but selfishly, it'd be cool if we got to see him again here in Kannapolis, but I don't know.
Well, if he gets up to the Carolina League, maybe we can
hit Winston-Salem?
Yeah.
Okay.
As far, and also with Nick, he could be in the Sally League this year, and Jarrett. I saw some folks like the Orioles prospect blog. They were saying that he could be Carolina League too, but we'll see. I mean, I don't have no idea when it comes to where these guys are going. But I think Netzer was in the top 30 prospects in the Red Sox organization.
Oh, for sure.
Like top 10 in hitters. So hopefully he can continue grinding and move up through the system.
Oh, I mean, and he's got the skills, and you know, a guy like TJ too. I mean, he does so many things. You know, we could only speculate on what anybody's ceiling is, but when you're a guy like TJ, you can do a lot of different things. It's kind of hard to get rid of the guys like that.
Yeah, I agree. And Jarrett, like I said, Jarrett's been improving year to year here. He can make it. He's definitely capable of making another jump.
I hope I'd like to see Zach get a better look. I didn't, we talk about this kind of thing all the time, but organizations have their priorities, right? And I didn't necessarily, again, obviously biased here, but I didn't feel like Zach always got the best shake. When he would get in the game, he would have a really big game. I know we were talking the other day. I mean, I remember a specific instance where he hadn't played in a few days. He got in the game. He goes 2 for 3, including a homer. And then moves back out of the lineup, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I get he's a later round pick. I get it, but Zach was always that guy that. How many times did we see him here kind of go through a rough spot at the plate? The defense was always there, but he always found a way to work out of it. Yeah. If you're going to work out of it, you got to get the guy on the field, right?
Yeah, and he definitely developed us into a great power hitter for us.
Line drive hitter. I mean.
I remember he led off one of those games in the tournament with a home run.
Yeah, I mean, and that was the crazy. You talk about flexibility. I mean, Jarrett, I kind of doubt that Coach Hibbs recruited Zach here as thinking he was going to be his leadoff hitter. But there he was. The team needed him, and he stepped into that role. And I mean, that's what you want on a team, right? Guys, the answer is yes. What do you need me to do, right?
Yeah, that's right. Looking back on the seniors and guys we lost, Logan Scherer had a good year last year. He's another guy that was thrown in, played all 4 years. Big power bat from the right side at first base. Had a little bit of back issue during the season, missed a couple games, but batted .265. Had 8 homers for us. I think he was second in our team in homers. 46 RBIs for him this year.
Mm-hmm.
It's another big hole we're going to have this season.
I think we're talking about a guy here that what he drove Corona's career, something like 150 RBI over his 4-year career. Another one of those guys that got thrown in right off the bat as a freshman.
Yeah, definitely a big part of that class. Our transition from A10 to Conference USA baseball, and you can see the progression from year 1 to year 4. We definitely had a huge jump. I mean, you see the results. You look at the RPI, how far it came. We jumped 100 points in like 2 seasons. So yeah, definitely progression from those guys. We mentioned Colton Laws. We lost him on the mound from last season.
Yeah, for those of you keeping track at home, that's 4 draft picks, 4 major league draft picks from losing off this roster.
I think it tied. We had 4 before, but we've never had more than 4. And I think 3 in the top 10 rounds.
That's that's a lot of talent.
Yeah. And another thing, we lost another recruit. One of our recruits coming in. He was drafted by the Red Sox. I can't remember which round. I'm guessing
Esplin was like round 12 or something like that.
It was it's 3rd year in a row we've lost a incoming recruit to the major leagues. Zach Jarrett was drafted I mean, not Zach Jarrett. Zach Smith was drafted
Right.
last season by the Indians, and he chose to come to school here instead of going pro. But
What about some of these other guys? I know the senior class is a little bigger than that. We don't mean to harp on these guys because there are some other pretty crucial guys here that helped us out along the way as well.
Yeah, we lost Sean Gagan. He was one of the last guys from the A10 to play in the A10. He was a big weekend guy for us. Injured his arm and never really got back to his full Gagan strength. But another big guy we lost last season.
Yeah, injuries definitely slowed him down.
Yeah. In the bullpen, we had Brandon Cassis, senior JUCO, came in. He was a weekend start at one point, and then critical relief guy for us. We had JD Prohaska, big lefty JUCO guy that came in for 2 years. He was a weekend start at one point. Moved to the bullpen, did what the team asked. He was a big lefty off the bench, out of the bullpen.
Definitely a guy we had to call on sometimes.
Yeah, and then we lost some depth from our bench. Nick Daddio, another guy that's here 5 years behind the plate. He kind of got thrown into it too as a catcher in the Conference USA. First couple seasons of Conference USA, had a lot of production for us, and we had behind the plate. I'll never forget that inside the park homer he had against Siena.
Yeah. And, I think you're right.
The guy's jersey got caught on the right field field fence. But that's I'll never forget that. I've never seen that before, and probably won't see it again.
That was pretty sweet.
Eddie Hull, another guy that we had off the bench, would come in whenever we needed, did what was asked of him. And,
Eddie Hull's a glue guy. I mean, he's just right. I mean, he's around. He's doing whatever needs be. You know, we're in the stands hanging out with his dad, right?
Yeah.
Shout out to Doc Hull.
Doc Hull, yeah, he's a good man. Another senior we lost, Brandon Vogler. His dad was a Niner, and he followed in his dad's footsteps. Played with the Niners 4 years. Made a few spot starts. Started on the weekdays. Came out of the bullpen last year mostly, but definitely a key contributor to our success last year in the last 4 years in that adjustment period from A10 to Conference USA. But definitely a lot of holes to fill. A lot of holes to fill for this 2018 team.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, let's do this, Kevin. Let's move forward and talk a little bit about, because we obviously, we're going to miss those guys, but some of the returners looking pretty good too, and we put quite a few guys in the summer ball leagues. Let's take a look at how they did.
Yeah, summer ball, you always take summer ball stats and stuff with a grain of salt, but these guys are going out and sitting in front of scouts and living in different places mostly, and the Niners send guys all over the place. I kind of enjoy summer ball. They're using wood bats, and it's kind of like they're in the minor leagues.
It really is, and I mean, in those games, if you've never been to one, I mean, getting to a, here like really regionally, we have the Coastal Plain League. There's what's the more local one?
The Southern Collegiate Baseball League.
Yeah, the SCBL.
Been to a few of those games around. They mostly like the Vipers I think Aaron Bray and those guys are down there. And then you have the Coastal Plain League, which is regional here with the Grizzlies play in that, and there's a lot of South Carolina teams and Virginia and North Carolina.
The Coastal Plain League is fun because a lot of these teams are playing in some really cool old ballparks. like on the Eastern Division of that Coastal Plains League, you've got like I think it's the Edenton. What are they? The Edenton Steamers? Is that what they are? I mean, they're playing in a ballpark I think it was built around 1920, and they've still got the old wooden grandstand. I mean, it's some of these stadiums they're playing in. I think the Wilson Tobbs play in an old park too.
Yeah. I know Savannah, the Savannah Bananas.
Yeah, one of the great names.
They just took over the Savannah Sandnats Stadium down there. That's a great old ballpark, and of course the Grizzlies here at Sim Legion's Field.
Yeah,
that's a great old ballpark. It reminds me of the old Durham Athletic Park back in the day. So you kind of get a feel of the olden baseball days back in the minor leagues. We had several more minor league teams, and then not all of them were affiliated with big league teams, but you had more regionalized leagues.
I think what I hear you saying is that we need a Diamond Niner fans summer ball like road trip.
I'd agree.
Are you down with that?
Yeah, I'd like to go see those old ballparks. It's kind of
we just need to like set out and go travel the eastern part of the state and watch baseball and eat barbecue. Maybe we'll do that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's take a look at the way. Let's look at hit some of the highlights here about some of the performances our guys had over the summer.
We mentioned we had in the Cape League is one of the premier summer ball leagues up in the New England area. Mm-hmm. We had Reese Hampton was up there this year. He had a pretty good season for the Hyannis Harbor Hawks.
The Harbor Hawks.
Yeah, I think we've had a lot of guys play for them over the years. He got a lot of playing time up there, and he played 42 games, scored 19 runs, 9 doubles, 17 ribbies. Had a pretty good season up in the Cape. Represented us well,
which is good. I mean, we need Reese. Reese Hampton is a double machine, right? That's what we really need him doing.
Yeah, and I saw he made several great plays in the field as well. So definitely good to see him succeed up in the Cape League, one of the elite collegiate summer leagues. More locally in the Coastal Plain League, we had a few guys playing with the Grizzlies. And we had guys.
I think we had half the Grizzlies roster. It seemed like at times.
We had Josh Macheski. He played for the Grizz. Jackson Mims and Harris Yett. They were definitely contributors, and they won the CPL championship. Harris Yett had a great season. He was named CPL All-Star. Played in their All-Star game, and he was also named to the CPL Select team, where they were chosen, and they played up against the collegiate national team, the Team USA, which they select the premier college baseball players for that team, and their CPL team beat them, I believe, in that scrimmage. Mm-hmm. So Yet he played first base and catcher. Kind of split time there. He ended up batting .341, couple homers, 23 ribbies. Mims, .342. He didn't play in as many games, but he got 73 at bats, had a couple homers, and 13 RBIs. Josh pitched in 10 games, started 5 of them, and he ended up getting 2 wins, 2-1, went 2-1, got a save.
I know you said that we need to take summer ball stats with a grain of salt, and I'm good with that, right? But is it okay that looking at Harris Yett's summer ball stats gets me like really pumped?
Yeah,
is that okay?
Yeah, well, he definitely started heating up late in the season and for our season, and then good to see him carry that over into the summer. And
yes, sir.
Definitely excited to see him come back.
Mims too. I mean, I know he didn't play in as many games, but batting .342 is batting .342.
Yeah. Looking at the summer ball, we had Drew Morrison, the SCBL. He had 13. He pitched in 13 games. He got 3 saves and his ERA 2.36. Had a good summer. Phil Perry with the Vipers. I believe Perry was selected to that select team that got to play in front of some scouts at Intimidators ballpark.
Good.
I think him and Camarada and Bullock, they were teammates with the Vipers there.
Perry's a guy we could, and we'll get to this, but Perry's a guy that we could really use a strong season from him coming out of the bullpen.
Right. Yet the summer ball is another thing with summer ball is a lot of if you guys pitched a lot of innings during the collegiate season, they usually take it easy during the summer. But like we didn't have
sort of like Colton Laws did in the minors.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, they had so and a lot of guys take breaks, do other things during the summer. So it's they play when they can.
Apparently, there's more to life than baseball when you're in college. I don't know, but
definitely. Yeah, we had some good summers. It's good following those guys. I enjoy seeing them in different atmospheres and using wooden bats, obviously, and seeing how they fare up against different competition with different teammates and stuff. But
well, why don't we do this, Ken?
Well,
go ahead. You go ahead.
And then we had the Northwest League. We didn't mention the Northwest League. That's one of the better leagues up there. And got the I know the Green Bay Bullfrogs and the Madison Mallards, which
that's a good name.
Matt Horkey, he pitched up there. Pitched in 12 games. Started 11 of them. Won 5 games up there with the Mallards. They had a great set of uniforms up there too. The green and the bright yellow. But
uniforms matter.
They do. I'm a uniform guy, but
uniforms matter.
But we'll move on. Yeah, some good summer ball. I mean, Craver pitched for the Copperheads here in the CPL. Had a good summer. Colby Bruce pitched with the Grizzlies. He started 4 games for the Grizzlies. Ended up going 1-1 with 2.70 ERA. So that's
very solid.
Yeah, Tommy Bullock, another guy, a newcomer. He was with Pitt Community College last couple seasons. He split some time with the Vipers here locally, and then with the Vat Mallards later in the season. Batted .364 with the Vipers, 4 homers, 33 ribbies. So yeah, lots of good guys having good summers for us.
All right. Well, I tell you what. Let's use that as a platform to kind of jump off here, because this is what this is the big thing we've got in front of us. We need to take a look at we've got lots of holes to fill, and we've got lots of new faces to fill these holes. Hopefully, I got to tell you, I got a chance to hit practice the other day. It was the first day of practice. I got to tell you, I spent most of the time trying to figure out who I was looking at. There were so many new guys running around down there. So why don't we do this in order to kind of talk about some of these new guys and the returners? Why don't we make our way around the diamond and talk about where we see maybe some of these guys slotting in as far as how they're going to play on the field this year?
Yeah. All right. Just looking at the quick fact sheet we have here from the Niners. They have 17 newcomers. We lost 16. Lost 12 letter winners, and returned 10 pitchers, 3 starters. Lost 6 pitchers, 1 starter. So yeah, definitely lots of holes to fill. We mentioned those guys. We want to start going around the diamond here.
Yeah, why don't we start let's start behind the plate and see where we go from there.
Yeah. Well, last year, we turned both guys from last year. We had behind the plate Zach Smith, all freshman team last year, batted .268, 2 homers, 27 ribbies. We got him back. One thing we didn't mention is the new right field line is a little bit shorter. So hopefully Zach, the lefty, will benefit from that.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. And if you haven't seen it, which you might not have, the changes have been made to the ballpark here. The right field fence there, the bullpen has been relocated to the right field there. If you're down the line in left field, it's 335 still, but down the right field line, you're looking at 315. With the bullpen taking up space in right field now. Tell me, Kevin, why do we have to move the bullpen anyway?
Well, they're building some type of structure
Down
the right field
that.
line. Yeah, it's a really big project. I know the staff and the players and the fans are excited about the new indoor hitting facility that's under construction. I believe it's under construction now, slated to be done in August. So they'll be working on that during the season. Big time for the program. Can get indoors, hit indoors, and
so we're going to watch that under construction all season long, right?
Yeah, it'll be exciting to see.
But in the short term, the good news is, which I think was your original point, lefties, lefties have got to be a little excited about that.
Yeah, like Zach Smith, I know he's looking at that 315 down the line there. But a new fence, the new fence has been put in outfield, also sticking with the facility improvements. So you have new chain link fence with padding going up, and so that's something to look forward to this season. But back to behind the plate, Zach Smith, he and Harris Yet split time last year behind the plate.
Mm-hmm.
They had a pretty good alternating system between DH and catcher. Both of them play first base. I think we saw Zach Smith fill in for Logan a couple games this year when Logan was injured. Harris Yet definitely played first base in the summer. But yeah, we mentioned him last year. He had batted .206 with a homer and 25 RBIs. And we mentioned the big summer he had, and look forward to him. Those two guys give us a pretty solid.
So what I'm hearing from you here is you think we're pretty well set at catcher. We've got our guys and they're ready to go.
Well, we got two guys returning, and you can't ask for more. And during the fall, Sam Bennett, he was catching some down there, so I think he's going to be the third guy. If what they did the fall is any indication. So I think we're in good shape with returning guys, and Sam Bennett, he's kind of a do it all type guy. Looks like freshman coming in. So.
Well, let's move to first base. We mentioned Logan, and we're going to miss Logan for his power at the plate, but also one heck of a first baseman. That's a big hole to fill.
Definitely a big hole. It's as I mentioned, Zach Smith and Harris Yet both played over there at first base. Likely to see those guys. Brought in a newcomer, junior Jesse Gonzalez, left-handed bat. He had 338 last year, 9 homers, 87 RBIs. Or not last year, but over his 2-year career at Garden City Community College. So that's another lefty bat that could compete over there with Smith and Yet. Depending on how the staff wants to do it, I think they may probably alternate those guys between catcher and first base, and then slide in Gonzalez. And I know you were at practice the other day. You said Drew Ober was over there working out at first. That's another place you could put his bat. But yeah, as far as first base goes, I think that's what we're looking at with that platoon type.
Yeah, rotation. We got some guys, and you know what's going on in practice to start with, and what ends up rolling out on February 16th, and who maybe two different things. But another big hole to fill at that second base. What are you seeing there?
Well, in the fall, we had junior Tommy Bullock. He came in from Pitt Community College.
Another junior college guy.
Yeah, another JUCO guy. He's a right-handed bat. We put in the lineup. He last year at Pitt was pretty successful. They had I think they won their region. Went on to the World Series there. He batted .329, 7 homers, 38 ribbies, and scored 54 runs for him. So pretty solid defensively. I think I saw he was an all-district defensive team. So bring him in to that mix. Try to fill the hole. And we got freshman Jake Whitcomb, also a right-hander. He was playing over at second this fall when we made it out to the Hayes. Says he stole 103 bases in 100 games at Hickory Ridge High School.
Yeah, I was gonna say local product.
Yeah, definitely local. Definitely could use some speed in our lineup. He looks like he could provide that. We'll move over to shortstop. We got a senior returning, Hunter Jones. Had his best season last year. He's another right-handed guy. We had his best season at the plate. Continued his great defense, and he was battling through some wrist injuries this year, last season. But
I am, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I mean Hunter really finished the season strong. I mean his work his defense was solid all year long. His performance at the plate really picked up as the season went on. But I mean this is a guy who was doing that with a broken bone in his hand. Is that?
I think so. I'm not sure the extent of the wrist injury,
right.
But yeah, he definitely had some. He missed summer ball due to getting that worked out. So.
Yeah, man, we're talking about a guy that had to get his I don't know, hand wrist, but he had to seek medical treatment as soon as the season was over. This is a guy that tough as nails. I mean, he's obviously playing with a high threshold for pain, so he's
definitely good to have him back I think he started. I think it's at 146 straight games at shortstop for us. Another one of those guys kind of started as a freshman, came in as a freshman, started, and he's been solid up the middle for us. The defense up the middle past 2 years I think we've led the conference in defense past couple of years. And
he's been solid at shortstop.
Had a big part of that.
He's been phenomenal.
So yeah, last year his best season at the plate, batted .310, 35 runs scored. Moved up in the lineup late in the year and definitely produced. We definitely benefited from his production late in the year. A freshman that was working out at shortstop this fall we saw was Tate Pennington. The Butler local kid. He's from Butler High School. Batted .407 at Butler last year. We say so. He's another guy up the middle infielder that may see some time at second. I don't know what to do, but there's some options there. There's some depth, and these guys can play the outfield as well. So with the freshman I'm talking about, but there's the shortstop as far as I can tell, basically from the fall and the roster. We move over to third base. So we got a returning starter there, junior Jackson Mims, a transfer from ECU. He's a redshirt junior, but last year was his first with the Niners. He led the Niners in doubles last year, solid at third base. He's going to be a middle lineup guy, and he's one publication, the Perfect Game, has him on their preseason All-Conference USA team at third base. So definitely looking for big things from Jackson this year.
I remember several years ago I guess it was during the year he was sitting out the transfer, Coach Hibbs saying, man, you guys are going to love Jackson Mims at third base. And he was right.
Yeah, they plugged him right in and didn't miss a beat right there. He was definitely a key part of that lineup last year, and good from the right side. And during the fall, we saw a freshman Eric Lansinger was working out there at third base as well. He's a big lefty bat. I think he plays from third and first in the fall, out of Damascus High School in Maryland. I think he could slide outfield too. He could compete for some time this season, later on in the season maybe. I don't know. He's definitely a name to watch as far as the newcomers.
What I love hearing you say here, what I'm reading between the lines though, is that we're not even into the outfield discussion yet, but we're talking about depth here. We've got some guys that are really athletic, competing for spots. They're freshmen, but this is the great thing about the position we're in these days. When we brought guys like that in, 4 years ago, they were going right into the starting lineup. Why? Because they were our best option. We didn't have the luxury of giving them a chance to, we overlook these things sometimes. These guys are not robots. They're high schoolers making the transition to college. Transitioning from high school to college is hard enough as it is without the pressures of being the starting shortstop for a Division I team, right?
Just playing Division I baseball, yeah.
That's right. So these guys, these young guys, get to come in with the depth we have, and they get some time in the weight room. They get some time on the practice field, and we can kind of blend them in as the season and even into next season rolls on.
Yeah, and it's good to have depth always. But going back to third base, I think I mentioned Sam Minute. He was behind the plate some this fall. I think he was working at third. I think he played third in one of the green-white scrimmage. He's got a Marvin Ridge. He looks like a utility guy, can do it all, play any position pretty much.
He's the hair guy on the team now.
He got, when TJ cut his hair to go with the Orioles, I think he gave it to Sam.
Yeah, those of you that don't know, I guess it was a organizational rule. We got used to seeing TJ's. Is it okay to call them flowing locks? Would that be okay? TJ's flowing locks.
That's fine with me.
Fine with you. Okay, good. We got used to seeing TJ's hair game as well as his baseball. He gets drafted by the Orioles, and organizationally, they don't go in for all that. So TJ got a nice trim. Not too long after arriving in Aberdeen, and but that's okay. Sam's got strong hair game there.
Yeah, I think he's filled in TJ's.
He's taken that mantle.
So we're okay with as far as hair game goes this year in 2018.
Yeah, we got to have that, so it's good.
Yeah, all right. I think that's the infield. We wrapped up the infield there with third base. Going to center field, we mentioned Reese earlier. He's a returning guy, junior, switch hitting, top of the lineup type guy. All Conference USA team 2 years ago. Took a small step back as far as average in 2017, but had a good season in the Cape. And look forward to having him back in the top of the lineup for us.
I feel like Reese. I mean, what do I know? But Reese is this is a bounce back year for Reese at the plate. He's going to rack up total bases.
Yeah, well, he put in the work this summer, and he did good. So I think he's...
Yeah, mark the tape.
We'll mark that. Producer, mark the tape. Right field, I think another newcomer is coming. That's a big hole to fill. Junior Dominic Camarada, big right-handed bat from Pitt Community College. We mentioned they won their region and went to the World Series last year. He led Pitt in doubles, homers, and RBIs. 75 ribbies, 19 homers.
That's a solid JUCO program there too.
Definitely. Then down east, we had but Camarada. He was originally recruited out of Tennessee. Played there as a freshman. He can catch, play outfield, first base. I think where they're looking to put him is likely in right field. So that's we got right field.
Camarada too. I mean, you can just look at this guy, and we'll see how the transition goes from JUCO into Conference USA. But if you were going to be a power hitting right fielder, you would look like Dominic Camarada. He looks the part. That would be really, really nice if he gets it going out there.
Yeah, I think it could be a big part of the lineup this season. In the middle there, if he can continue to put those power numbers up that he put it at Pitt,
sir.
I think we'll be pleasantly happy with that. Left field, we hadn't mentioned Drew Ober yet. He was a returning guy, but he was returning off an injury. I believe he was tore his labrum last year against A&T, and he was having a good year at that point. He's one of our power sticks from the right side, and
was he batting? I mean, he's batting. He made it through 13 games, I think. He's batting like 354 through 13 games.
354, 12 ribbies, and we saw him. He missed the rest of the season, but we saw him this fall out there. He was playing outfield. We couldn't throw it in, but I think you saw him out there at practice playing first a little bit. We'll see. He could be if his shoulders. If he's healthy, he could be in our left fielder. Yeah.
I think that was kind of a lost story from last year, is because he went out so early, and we got used to not having him. But that was a big loss.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely affected our depth at the plate. But yeah, I don't know. We definitely missed his power bat and his defense too as well.
Yeah. A healthy Ober would be very, very good. Very good.
I agree, and that could be a big thing. It's like having a new recruit pretty much. He missed a lot of last season. You bring him in and bring him back, and his bat in the lineup would be very beneficial to fill some of those holes we lost with Netzer and Logan and Jarrett.
For sure.
Also left field, we got a returning sophomore, Todd Elwood, the lefty. He started 4 games last season. He did some pinch hitting and some pinch running. Had 6 hits last year, 6 RBIs on those hits. So another off season, he was up in Alexandria this summer. So got a lot of at bats, and we're looking forward to seeing how much he's gotten better over the off season. We got a lot of newcomers that could be in the mix in the outfield as well. The junior Levi McLaughlin, lefty at Maple Woods Community College. He was playing out there this fall as well. Freshman Chase Haywood, he's a lefty as well. We had he's a lefty out of Hamlet, North Carolina. Went to Richmond High School. Batted .411 last year in his senior year. So yeah, there's some options out there in the outfield. It's going to be interesting to see how the new guys fit in to the lineup. But I hadn't seen much of them so far. We've seen a few practices and talked to the coaches a little bit and seen what they thought. But it'd be interesting to see how they develop. And
in the meantime, they need name tags.
Yeah, that's what the numbers on the back of the uniforms are for.
Oh, those. Oh. I wondered what they were there for.
But yeah, then the DH spot, I think a lot of it depends on Ober, his health, and but that could be a spot where another freshman or one of his newcomers steps into the lineup right away. Last year we kind of did the catcher DH platoon, but now I think that's going to be at first base this year. It sounds like so.
I feel like we've got the most options in that respect that we've had in quite a few years. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it was definitely. It's early in the season. I know there's a few injuries already in the lineup, but hopefully if we can stay healthy, there's definitely a lot of options out there for us.
Okay.
They brought in a lot of good guys, and it sounds like with this recruiting class, and they should help fill these holes. I mean. There's a lot to fill with those guys. We got, 3 guys drafted and a senior 4-year starter at first base. That's a lot of holes to fill.
So let's talk about the pitching rotation and the bullpen. What do you see going there? Because we've got some returners, but man, we've got a lot of new arms.
Yeah, lots of new arms in the mix. But last year, we can look back at last year to see kind of what our experienced guys we got coming back. Josh Macheski, he's a lefty, been a starter since he's been here. He's another one of those guys that's been thrown into it. Been a weekend starter since he's been here. You can see him. He was a little stronger last year. Had a pretty good season. He started most of the way through the season, moving to the back end as we needed him last year towards the end of the season. I thought he did well there. Looks like he started some games and got a few saves in the summer too as well. So versatile guy. He's definitely in the mix to be a weekend starter. Senior, experienced guy. So another senior who started some games last year is Jonah Patton. His second season. He was a back end bullpen guy, closer. Most of the season, I think he was second or third in Conference USA in saves. I think he had 7 saves, but definitely a high energy guy out of the bullpen. Started the last few games for us in the rotation as injuries crept up on us. Had a good start in the Conference USA tournament in that Southern Miss game. I think he ran out of gas in that game, but. He's had all off season to work, and I think he's in the mix to be a weekend guy. He's
Patton. He's a gamer. I mean, he just wants to be. He wants to be on the mound, right? I mean, he's just. Yeah, I love the way he carries himself. He's
definitely high energy guy on the mound. Guys show their emotions differently, like you said, but you can definitely tell he's an emotional guy, and it's good to have that energy on the mound. Another returning guy we have from Matt Brooks. He had a great freshman season.
Phenomenal.
All Conference USA freshman team out of York, Pennsylvania. Like I said, he started out beginning of the year kind of back into bullpen type guy, and then he moved into a starting role later in the season. Had a great Conference USA tournament game pitching that opening game, and I look for him to be right in the mix as a weekend guy. Another guy that staff has liked is newcomer left-handed pitcher Joey Cooner out of Crowder Community College. Big lefty. I think he would be in the mix a little bit, maybe for a starting position. The staff seems pretty high on him, so I think he was All-American in JUCO.
We could definitely. I mean, we could definitely use that kind of experience and that kind of ability from a lefty perspective for sure.
Yeah, and then you got Matt Horkey Sr. He had a lot of starting experience. He started a lot of midweek games, and big lefty. He's in the mix there as a senior. Philip Perry, another senior, right-handed pitcher. He was mostly a bullpen guy last year. It was solid innings for us last season. Craver, another senior. I remember that NC State game. He had the Wolfpack pretty off balance in that game.
Yes, he did.
Very solid last season for him. Solid lefty out of the pen. Austin Wynn, another senior, another bullpen guy that came in for us last year, throwing sidewinder, sidearm guy. He brings a new look from out of the bullpen. Drew Morrison, a junior. He was a junior lefty out of. Drew Morrison is a right-hander pitcher. He was solid out of the bullpen as well last year.
Well, hey, more and more guys, you're hearing more and more about guys being like, some guys switch pitching, right? So
yeah,
maybe that's something he worked on.
he is a lefty. Sorry.
All right.
But yeah.
So what about some of these? New arms?
I didn't mention Colby Bruce.
Oh yeah. Whoa! My bad. We can't forget Colby.
Colby Bruce. He had a solid season last year as a freshman. He started a few games. Worked in the pen a lot. I think he'll be a back end type guy if he's not in the starting rotation. I think he'll be a back end guy. Some of the newcomers you mentioned. We got Carson Pinckney, the JUCO guy. He's out of Catonsville. He had a pretty good season last year. Staff seems to be high on him as far as a back end bullpen type guy, right-handed pitcher.
Potential closer, you think?
Yeah, I think back end guy. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
We saw him pitch a little bit in the fall. We got Chase Gooding also. He's a newcomer out of Allen County Community College, another right-handed pitcher.
Okay.
Junior college. Some of the freshmen we have coming in. We got Eli Ellington, left-handed pitcher out of Covenant Day School. Connor Rudy, a left-handed pitcher out of Ardrey Kell. Spencer Harrelson, right-handed pitcher out of Cary. And Patrick Skopinski out of Northwood High School, Chapel Hill, freshman. He's a righty. And
I can't believe the staff did this to us. I just learned how to spell Maciejewski, and now we're spelling Skopinski. I do think, I'm not going to do it right now because that would not be good, but I do think I learned how to spell it. I saw him pitch a little bit, sort of like in the mold of a Jonah Patton. Kopinski brings attitude out there on the mound. This guy, he has a good time out there. He's definitely got a presence about him. I'll say that. He's kind of fun to watch pitch.
Yeah. Another freshman, J.C. Oots. based on the pronunciation guide. You disagree with that pronunciation?
I do disagree with that. Now, give me a spelling on that, Kevin.
It's Ouzts.
Ouzts, and the pronunciation guide says it's what?
Oots.
Oots. No, I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking branding here. If you're coming out of the bullpen and your name is basically Outs with a Z in it, your name is Outs. I mean, right? I mean, it is now. It will be in the bull. And if you're listening, but I mean, you know, it's all in good fun, right? In the stands at the Hayes, when you come in, you will be referred to, at least among, at least in our on our row, as JC Outs, right? I mean, I'm not crazy here, am I? Doesn't that make sense?
Could be, but I don't know how he wants his name pronounced.
Well, maybe we should just ask him. You think? Is he on Twitter? I don't. Sure. That's the other thing we have to do is learn everybody's Twitter handles, right? I don't know. Somebody send us. Somebody tell us what the deal is. If you know JC, just have him tell us. But for now, it's Outs.
But yeah, definitely a lot of depth here. New arms. Looking forward to seeing how those guys get in the mix, see what Doty has for us. Going along with the guys we have coming back, I think we got a solid core and some more depth this season. Good. I can't wait to see the young guys and the newcomers.
Okay. Well, why don't we do this? We're gonna start winding this down here, but before we do that, let's just hit some of the high points on this schedule, because we've got some really cool games now that we've kind of set the table with the guys. This is a heck of a schedule here, particularly what we're going to see at home. So I think we ought to hit some of the high points there.
Yeah. Taking a look at the schedule, I mean, just based on last year's RPI, there's another tough schedule for the Niners this year. Definitely, if we're successful, the schedule will allow us an NCAA tournament bid. We got 12 games against top 50 RPI schools. 32 games are against top 100 RPI. So, I mean, as you can see, that's a lot of games against top competition. And then hopefully if those teams do as they did last year, we'll have a great RPI at the beginning of the end of the year. Looking at the schedule, we've got a series hosting ECU. We only got to enjoy ECU coming to the Hayes once since we've been back in Conference USA, and then they left the conference. So
that's going to be a fun weekend. Is it? What's the dates on that? It's March. It's like the first weekend in March.
I believe so.
Second weekend.
I believe so, Nick.
There we go. We got it here.
ECU is March 9th, 11th.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've.
If you haven't been out to the Hayes and you're thinking about coming, which you ought to be, but that's the weekend to come. That whole series, that's going to be a good one, because Lord knows the Pirate faithful are going to show up that weekend.
Yeah, and we need to as well.
Absolutely.
I know we did last year with West Virginia, and I think we'll do it again. But yeah, looking at the home schedule, we open up at Iona next Friday, February 16th. 3 games set, and then we travel to NC State. That's another big out-of-conference game, and then we go on the road to Georgia. They just opened a new stadium last season, or 2 seasons ago, Foley Field down there in Athens, Georgia. That'll be a good road trip, SEC road trip for the Niners. We split with them.
Drivable too.
Yeah, definitely. Split with them here at the Hayes and at BB&T Ballpark a couple seasons back. Great competition for us, SEC program. We host Siena in a 4-game series at home, and then that ECU series at home. We got the first BB&T Ballpark game versus Wake Forest. I think Wake's actually the home team in that game, but
what's up with that?
I don't know, but
let's make it feel like a road game for them anyway.
Yeah, we'll do that. We've got 3 BB&T Ballpark games this year. Wake Forest, I mentioned. Arkansas, who's I've been seeing the preseason projections. They're top 5 in most polls. Some guys are saying Omaha team, and some guys are picking them to win it all. They return a lot. They got some big guys that they thought might go pro.
Those two games those are the biggest. I mean, I know, one game at a time, right? But those two games, those are phenomenal matchups.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited about matching up with those guys. Got one game at Uptown with those guys, and then one game at the Hayes. It's a top caliber competition coming into Charlotte. So the other team we play at BB&T Ballpark is UNC Chapel Hill.
Who?
They've been top 10. I've seen them top 10 in a lot of the polls, but they'll bring some fans, I think, and hopefully we'll have our hardcore fans here as well, Uptown.
My mother taught me not to say anything if I didn't have anything nice to say. So,
well, we can move on then.
Yeah, we can move on.
Great. Like I said, we Wake Forest at Uptown as well, and Wake Forest comes to the Hayes as well. As far as mostly our conference, or Winthrop. Actually, Winthrop's got Winthrop home and home. We've got at UNCG, they're picked to win their SoCon. High Point home and home. I think Winthrop was picked to win the Big South as well, and High Point was picked third in the Big South. ECU was picked to finish fourth in the AAC. Mm-hmm. And North Carolina, Wake Forest, NC State, and Arkansas all picked to be regional teams. So by a lot of projections I've seen. So definitely a tough schedule, and that's before we jump into conference with.
This is a top 50 schedule.
Yeah,
easy
good schedule, and it's good for fans, it's good for players. You like to see them. You like to see how your team fares against the top competition, and that's what we've got the past few years here at Charlotte. I mentioned the conference schedule. We miss Southern Miss again. They're not on our schedule like the way Conference USA is with. Mm-hmm. I think the 12 baseball playing schools. We only play 10 of them, so one of them is left out every year. So past two seasons have been Southern Miss. I think before that was Western Kentucky. But we got Rice on the schedule, at Rice. At La Tech, they're going to be in the mix. Old Dominion at home, at Florida Atlantic, FIU at home, at UTSA, at Middle Tennessee, Marshall and UAB at home, and West Kentucky at home.
I think that Old Dominion series is one I'm kind of looking at. I mean, I feel like, and not just baseball, but all sports, they're kind of a measuring stick for us. I mean, we need to get that series. Yeah. That's one I think that's kind of a statement series in Conference USA, maybe.
Definitely, yeah. They finished second in the conference last year. As far as the RPI and all that, they had a 51 RPI right above us last year, and I think we were picked. I've seen the Niners picked anywhere from 3rd to 7th in these preseason polls. I think our conference coaches picked us 6th. So anywhere from that range. Remember last year, that last weekend of the season, there was a lot of teams bunched up right in the middle there. So I think it'll be the same thing this year. You'll have a lot of teams bunched up, and
the league is definitely not going to be any easier.
Definitely not. I think Southern Miss, who won the regular season last year, they've got a lot back. They lost some pitching, I think, but they've got some lot back. Rice has got a lot back. Like I said, last year they threw a lot of guys in the mix, and they're returning a lot as well. So,
well, why don't we do this? We're going to get a chance to talk about this schedule week by week as we go through it. Cannot wait to get started. Why don't we let's enter the commercial portion of the broadcast. If you don't have tickets for the upcoming season, packthemind49.com. what are you waiting on? Go get tickets. That's single game, which I don't think single games are on sale, but season tickets are on sale right now. I think it's, $75 downstairs, and $49 in the bleachers for the whole season, guys. That's the whole season. I think individuals, when they go on sale, what are they? They $5?
I think they have some 10-game or 10
lower reserve for 10. I think that's right. If not, I apologize to John George. Check that out online, packthemind49.com. Also, call the ticket office, 704-687-4949. They'd love to talk to you about it. For the Uptown games, I believe, once again, and I'm not sure the date on that, but you buy your Uptown tickets from the Knights.
Yeah, there's separate ticket return. Season ticket holders there's a pre-sale for season ticket holders.
Season ticket holders have already been able to get access to those tickets, so you got that going for you.
So yeah, definitely that's a great benefit to season ticket holders because those games uptown are cheaper than going to a regular Knights game. So you can get really good seats for cheaper than you would to a regular Knights game, and those seats aren't even available for Knights games because they're season ticket holders. Mm-hmm. But definitely great benefit to get close seats if you want them. If you want it even to see that ballpark and see the Niners, they're great seats. I couldn't. And
rumor has it that they sell beer there.
That's another benefit.
Is that? Are you confirming that?
I saw some people drinking beers.
Okay, all right. You heard it here. So check that out. In any game you can make it out to would be fun. Those Uptown games are fun. Our campus stadium, the Hayes, is a great place to check out as well. One last commercial before we let you go. Kevin and I are big believers in something called the Grand Slam Club. You can check that out on online as well on the baseball site. This is very, very simple. The money that you donate goes into directly into the program, and in exchange for your donation, you get phenomenal baseball gear. Caps just like the team wears. We've got right here, the Grand Slam Club gear came this week. I've got a game worn jersey hanging here in the office. It's really good stuff, and a lot of these things you see going on around the stadium over the last few years, the improvements that have been made came through dollars that folks donated through the Grand Slam Club. So definitely do that. One last thing, and we've got to mention this before we close out because it is a big deal. Our coach, Lauren Hibbs, got a really, really cool, really special honor just recently. Kevin, you want to say a few words about that?
Yeah, Coach Hibbs was selected to enter the Kansas Baseball Hall of Fame. I think they had the induction last weekend, and how awesome is it to have a coach that's in the Hall of Fame, Kansas Hall of Fame. Saw some pictures from the event. They got a Niner baseball jersey sitting in the Hall of Fame right next to his Wichita State jersey. Can't say enough about how much he means to the program and what it means to have a Hall of Fame type coach leading your program. Yeah,
congratulations, Coach. I know that one means a lot to you, and we could not be happier for you. So I think we're going to end it off right there. We've covered a lot. We're going to conclude the very first and maybe not even the last Diamond Niner Fans podcast. Kevin, did you have fun doing this?
Yeah, had a good time. It was always good to talk baseball, especially Niners baseball. So can't wait for the season to start. Ready to pack the Hayes and let's go Niners.
I could not agree more. I'm ready for the season to start right now. Hope you've enjoyed listening. Hopefully we've got you excited about the season. If you want to reach out to us, you want to provide us some feedback, we'd love to hear from you. You can find us a number of ways. We are on Twitter. The handle is @Diamond9ER Fans. You can also find Diamond Niner Fans on Facebook. And if you'd like to send us an email, diamond9erfans@gmail.com. That's diamond9erfans@gmail.com. I'm Nick and been joined here by Kevin, and we are concluding here. We will see you at the Hayes.